Okay, y'all, I mentioned a few weeks back that I was going to be switching things up here on my podcast, and today we are diving in headfirst to that change. Today's episode will be a coaching episode where I have someone who is currently inside my Rich Girl community, and she is struggling with something, and we are going to dive into it together on this call. My hope with these episodes is that you can learn from what other people are going through and also feel less alone because sometimes I think in the world of online business and being an entrepreneur, we always assume like everyone else is doing amazing when in reality, we're kind of all going through something, right? But also just to see how I show up and serve and help my community members so that you know if I am a good fit for you. So, Emily, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
I am so happy to be here. What a goal. Thank you for having me.
So sweet. So I'd love if you could just start us off with kind of a little bit about your backstory. I know you have like a really cool backstory, a little bit about your niche, your digital product, and then we can kind of dive into where you're at now and what you're kind of struggling with.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy to be here and be talking about this. So, I launched my brand Hey Bridey in September, and I'd been following you for a while. I was definitely, it was in my feed about the whole digital product world, and I was very excited to step away from the corporate world, do something more creative, more meaningful to me, and allow me to just spend more time with my son at home. So, I really thought about, okay, what am I passionate about and what do I have experience in? That was definitely like a lesson that I had taken away from watching you. And so I kind of combined my passion of design and organization and just connecting with people and just thought about how much fun I had when I planned my own wedding. And I just have spent so much time working with my friends on helping them with their weddings and realizing how stressful. I mean, I knew it personally myself too, but I could tell there was just a collective stress around that topic. And so I decided to kind of bring together my passions and create kind of like a hub. I really wanted to create a community of brides who were budget conscious and kind of cut through the noise of what we see on social media everywhere right now, which is just, everybody needs to one up the other person.
My
And
gosh.
it just is overwhelming, and weddings are very expensive as is. And so I decided this is a really cool opportunity to bring together my passions into something
Yeah.
that I'm hoping could really help other people. And so that's how Hey Bridey was born. And I've really tried to create a resource for, the budget conscious bride who still really wants to have a wonderful wedding, but just can't really swallow the idea of spending a fortune on one day. And so I've tried to pull together, realistic inspiration. I love scouring the internet and kind of coming up with my own ideas of how to do it a little bit differently or do it yourself with a new spin. So realistic inspiration combined with just, realistic tips on saving money and just enjoying the process a little bit more. And so that's kind of what I'm doing on Hey Bridey, and I'm having so much fun with it every single day.
I love it. And okay, you guys, this is such a good example of taking something that you are passionate about and that you went through, but you're not necessarily like, you didn't like go to college for this, or you didn't like, she's not a wedding planner, right? Like
No.
she has
Mm-mm.
never planned somebody else's wedding. And she still has so much to offer people that are trying to plan their wedding on a budget. So this is just your friendly reminder to like let the imposter syndrome go because you have so much from your personal experiences and your passions in life that you can bring to people. Now, I'm curious on your growth. I know that you kind of like exploded and it went really well for you. So like, how did that go?
Yeah, so I launched the account in September, and I'm trying to remember when you launched Rich Girl Community and then also when you opened the doors to your boot camp, because they were around the same time, because it was very shortly after I had launched my account.
Gotcha.
And so to me, it was just like this beacon of light right when I needed it, like these two incredible
Oh,
resources that truly, I mean, I think anybody who's in this space knows how isolating at times it can be, and you're just
yeah.
kind of trying to figure it out. And I wanted to do it right. I'm definitely a
Yeah.
perfectionist. And so I think having the guidance of somebody like you, who I definitely trusted through just like following you for a while, it came at the perfect time.
Did you do both the boot camp and the
I
community?
did. Yes,
Oh,
yes,
that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah, and I'm obsessed with both. So yeah, I think it just came at the right time. I had I did have a couple weeks there kind of on my own. And it's funny to even see just how I pivoted ever since joining your community. And your community just really helped me zero in on who my audience is, what the problem is that I really want to focus on. I almost was too very niche down
Mm,
before. I still have a very clear focus now, and you helped me get there. But there's more runway to what I'm doing now. And so having Rich Girl Community really helped me understand how to speak to my audience and how to reach them and how to get comfortable
mm,
with creating the type of content that will have the biggest impact. And
okay.
so in those early weeks, I was really focused on just growing my account and just reaching people and trying to let the algorithm know, like, hi, I'm
Yeah.
here.
This is
Push
me.
me out. And so that was super helpful. But then also combined with the boot camp, that was amazing because again, I launched in September, and your boot camp is this incredible 8-week program that had us lined up to launch our first digital product the week of Black Friday. So I kid you not, without that, it probably would have taken me a year to launch my first digital product.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I love a good kick in the pants, and that was the exact momentum that I needed from you, and just like the check-ins and I love how you rolled everything out each week. It just kept me
Mm.
on track. Accountability, you were like my accountability buddy from the heavens. And it just was awesome. I really didn't know how to properly launch a product, and you really helped me with that. And so I stuck to it. The week of launch, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for you, I would have given up. I was sick. My son was home from daycare. Like
Always.
it all
Everything
lined
always
up.
goes wrong on launch week. Like, I kid you not, you could be so prepared and then, like,
Yeah.
your child gets sick, your
Yep.
husband gets sick, you get sick. Like, it's wild how that happens.
100%. The world is like, I'm going to test you now. And that happened, but I'm so proud because you really, like, your program really helped me stay on track, and I launched on time, and I had a great launch. I hit my goal. Like, it was
Woohoo!
awesome. Yeah. And so I think having those two resources, the boot camp and the community, really helped with that kind of explosion of growth in the beginning, because otherwise I wouldn't have really had the clear direction on my messaging and how to create that right kind of content. And so, yeah, I think it took me a little less than 2 months to hit 10K followers. And then it's
Wow.
just been, you know, good progression since then. I'm close to hitting 50K now. I'm very
Woohoo!
excited. Get the
Oh my gosh,
balloons.
that's so wild. Get the balloons. Oh my gosh, amazing. I just love hearing the process of things. And you're right, like Rich Girl Community combined with the boot camp, which I only host the boot camp once a year. And it's coming soon if you're listening to this episode. That's all I'm gonna say. But I truly think like having someone help you implement, but also help hold you accountable. Because when you sign up for something that's like only a certain amount of time and you only get the feedback for a certain amount of time, like it's your brain's like, okay, like we have to do this because I want the feedback. And that was my intention. Like, that's why I don't have this like big, long course
hmm
because people buy them and they sit in their email for years and they're like, oh, I never got results from that. I'm like, oh, when's the last time you opened it? They're like, oh, a year and a half ago when I bought it. I'm like,
100%.
oh,
Yeah.
got it. Got it. And like, I'm the same way. I have a rule now where like, unless I'm able to implement it within that week, I'm not allowed to buy it. Right. Like, it's
Love
not,
that.
and I have to be strict with that because I'm like, I don't, yes, I love supporting people and I love like supporting other women and online businesses, but I also like want to make sure that I'm utilizing what I am investing in. So I love hearing that like that was such a good combo. And okay, where are we at now? I know that like you've had some things happen in your personal life that had you take a step back. So let's dive into that and kind of talk about how we can propel you forward because I know sometimes stopping and then getting back into it is
hmm
very hard. And if you're listening and you've also had something happen, or even just for mental health, like saying, hey, I need to step back a little bit, diving back in can feel daunting.
Totally. Yes. And that is where I'm at right now. It's kind of tough because in January and February, I just had this insane momentum. I was finally making daily digital product sales. It was my goal. I almost couldn't believe that I finally was at that point. I was very much like a pinch me moment. And then unfortunately in February, I ended up having a miscarriage, and it just kind of screeched everything to a halt because what I realized is and you are so good about this. Like being in your stories and really being present and being there to engage with your community is such an important part of growing your brand and
Yeah.
bringing in those daily sales. And, putting in the work up front of creating good content that thankfully, will continue to circulate even if you're not posting that day in that moment. There is such an importance in showing up every day.
Mm.
And when I went through that battle with the pregnancy loss, I really felt like for me, I almost couldn't even consider another option. I knew I had to take a little bit of a pause and just
Yeah.
focus on healing my mind and my body. And I'm glad that I did that, and I'm grateful for the space that I had already created before leaving.
Mm.
Because once I finally felt like, okay, I'm ready to dive back in, I knew that I'd created a lot of trust with my community. And so when I came back, I did share with them, hey, this is kind of what I've been going through. I've really missed you guys. I'm so excited to dive back in. And like I get full body goosebumps thinking about the response that I got from everybody.
No.
Like I got thousands of messages from people, the most heartfelt messages, not just like thinking of you. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, it validated the effort I had put into creating this
Yeah.
community. And it really made me feel like, okay, this is exactly where I want to be. These are the people that I want to continue pouring
Yep.
into. And it was really awesome. So it was hard stepping away. It was hard being vulnerable and sharing that with them.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I did because I do want them to know how much I care about them, that this isn't just a means for me to make money. Like I do
Yeah.
feel like I really want to help people and I want to
Yeah.
put a smile on people's face. Like I'm definitely silly in my content sometimes and I want my personality to come through. And so I'm glad that people could feel that connection and that I could feel it back
Yeah.
from them. So that happened recently. I kind of came back, kind of made that announcement. I've slowly been posting a little bit, but where I'm at right now is a little bit of a panic button in the sense of like, man, I had this awesome momentum before. And like, I just want to get back there.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, mentally, it's a little bit hard. I can sense the community, but part of me is like, the fear of have people moved on?
Yeah.
How do I reestablish that really strong connection? What's the best type of content for me to post right now? Do I dive right into selling my product again, or do I try to grow more or just
Yeah.
nurture? And so my mind's a little bit in this like spinning, tornado,
Yeah.
and I'm just like super pumped to be able to get your feedback.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm so sorry. This is, as a business owner, like it's so hard when you go through things that you have no control over and like hormones with that type of thing. Like it's just like so heavy and hard. And so I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Thank you.
Oh man. No woman deserves to go through that.
Mm-mm. No, ma'am.
But, um, okay, so you said that when you came back, you did decide to share with your audience, right? Do you feel like that was the right decision? Because I know a lot of people kind of fear when they come back, like, oh, do I just act like nothing happened? And I'm team, like, you don't have to share everything, but I think people appreciate when you are a real human being with them that goes through real and hard things. Because even though, like, her topic is helping people plan their wedding, like, people are going to go through hard stuff when they're planning their wedding. And I think it really humanizes you. And I also think there's something really, I don't know, I don't know the word for it, like really helpful for you just to be able to share and like share what's on your heart. So did you feel like that was the right choice, kind of like giving them the update for why you were away for so long? And actually, how long were you, how long did you kind of like step back?
Yeah, so I stepped back from Reels entirely for a month. I felt like after that point, every, couple weeks or so, I could repurpose old content just because I did feel the need to keep putting some stuff out there.
Yeah.
But stories I really struggled with.
Yeah.
I stayed off stories for like 2 whole months because that to me felt inauthentic.
Yeah.
Like my true nature is bubbly happy. Like when you see me on my stories and I'm like super excited and just like nerding out on something, that is me. I'm not
Yeah.
putting on a front just for my Instagram page. And I've always been like this. I don't want to fake it. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to go on my stories for the sake of posting to stay present, to
Yeah.
be able to sell
Yeah.
something, whatever. It just felt really inauthentic to me. And I felt like that needed the full stop.
Yeah.
So it was about 2 months before I got back on stories. And no, I don't regret at all coming back and being vulnerable with my audience. One of my big goals is creating this community where you're going through this insane life event. You
Hmm.
are not trained for this at all. It involves a whole ton of money,
No
a whole lot
schooling
of
on this.
it's insane, like literally insane. And you're surrounded by a lot of differing opinions, a lot of
Yeah.
big ideas, a lot of things that might just make you not feel so good. And I want to create a space where people feel like, okay, when I go there, I get comfort from Emily
Yeah.
and she's authentic with us. And so to me, it was important to continue that and not just fake
Yeah.
something or pretend like nothing happened. And
Yeah.
it didn't require me going into a whole lot of detail or anything, but I do feel like just being honest with them,
Yeah.
acknowledging, showing appreciation for them and their support is just important. And again, it was
Yeah.
like one day of stories and it's not like I talk about it every single day because I don't really feel
Yeah.
like I need to anymore.
Yeah.
I did what I needed to do and I'm excited to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for you, what I would number one focus on is getting back into those stories and getting back into a rhythm. Cause like you were saying earlier, like stories is where so much of the connection is made. And
Yes.
it's where a lot of sales come from, honestly, because people, they find you from a reel or a carousel, they follow you, and then they get to know you and connect with you. And I'm like team connection first, sale second. So number one thing I would do is really just jump back on your stories. What was your rhythm with your stories before when you were making those daily digital product sales?
I probably posted in my stories like 3 to 5 times a day, and I have learned a lot from you. You are the queen of stories, and you're a huge I mean, like, you really nailed it because it's nice when I'm reading your stories, I never feel like you're selling to me, and you're the master of, like, soft selling because you don't really
My
realize
jam.
it. Yeah, it's amazing. But it's nice because you do a really good job of weaving in just like your personal life or your personal interests, and that's a way to connect with your audience. And so I really was trying to do that as well because I do want people to feel like they know me just beyond
Yep.
the reels that I'm posting. They don't need to know like everything about my personal
Yeah.
life, but there's certain things or quirks that I like to connect with other people on and they'll DM me and be like, I love that too. And so I try to do that. I do feel like selling in my stories has always been a little bit harder for me. But anytime I do it, I make sales.
Yep.
So I don't know
Wild how that
why.
happens.
I
It's
don't
such a
know
mental
why.
block.
It is. It is. And it's funny because in my early corporate life out of college, I was in sales all the time. Like most of my career was in sales. I don't know if it that turned me off of it.
But you were selling somebody else's product. I think
Yes,
it's
that's
harder when
true.
you're selling your own because you let self-doubt creep in and you're like, "Oh, is this really good enough?" Whereas when it's your job and you're selling somebody else's product, it feels different to me,
Mhm.
right? And I'm the opposite. I could never sell somebody else's product, but I could sell mine until the cows come home. Like, I
Mhm.
love it. I just like it feels good to me. But I feel like when it's your own product, sometimes we have this block of like, "Oh, is it good enough? Do people actually want this?" But then shocking when you do sell it, it actually sells. You make
Yep.
sales. I love that. Well, okay. So the first thing I would, like I said, definitely jump back into stories, find something that you can kind of share from your personal life. And that's not to say you have to share everything. Like you guys know, I don't share my daughter's face. I rarely share my husband just because he is more private and I don't share my daughter's face on the internet anymore. But that doesn't mean I don't share like little excerpts of what she is doing or little parts of my life. So I think something that's working really well on stories right now is posting once a day. I've been testing this, posting like my morning or evening series of slides, and I'll do personal first and then soft sell, and then one personal to kind of end the series. And something I'm noticing is that I'm on Instagram way less because of this, which I love. Like, I want people to make money from Instagram, yes, but I don't want you to spend your whole life on there. So, if you could get back into maybe pick 5 days a week where you're like, okay, today you could even use like stories from the day before. I find that really helpful to like share something that happened the day before the next day. So I have all the photos. I'm not on my phone all day. I'm just taking a few quick photos, share a few personal things, and then like ask for feedback on something, do a poll, get them to engage. And then on the next one, like if you have a review, you could share or something where it's like naturally bringing it up to say like, oh my gosh, like so excited to get back into this. The brides are popping up, summer brides. and then using that daily, like those 5 days to really just start connecting with people. Something else I would really love to see from you is like a summer series for brides that are like your wedding is coming up, XYZ is happening, or even fall, since like wedding planning, like they would need you for fall more, but you could also get more eyes on your page for a summer wedding right now since it's so relevant. So I think it'd be really fun for you to like dive back in with a series. Have you ever done a series on your page?
Love that idea. Yes, actually, I've done a couple series and I get so many new followers from them. I mean, I think it's a great way to nurture your current audience because it's something they're interested in, but it
Yep.
definitely brings in new eyes. And it's a great way to just get people to look forward to something to come back to. So in December, I'm pretty sure it was in your community, you challenged us to doing like a 12 days of
Yep.
Christmas kind of thing. Yeah. So I did the 12 days of wedding ways to save. And it was
Oh,
amazing. So it was 12 days in a row. I showed up and did talking head videos and wasn't easy because talking head videos are a lot and
yeah.
they take up a lot of effort, but it was so worth it. It also helped get me out of my comfort zone of showing up every
Yeah.
day and talking. It's easy to just do a B-roll video and slap some
Yep.
text on that, but I found my engagement went through the roof when I did my talking head videos and I gained
Yep.
so many followers. So I love that idea. I'll definitely do that.
Was the one that you did in December like specific to December?
No, it was just like the 12 days of, and it was like the 12 days of Christmas because it was literally
Yeah.
leading up to
But if
Christmas.
if you didn't say that, you should repurpose that. Just go download all of those and do the series over and like kind of like jolt your account again. I would do
Yeah,
that 12-day series while you're posting that since you're not having to create content like live and in the moment. I would just try and get like one other reel done a day just to kind of like jolt your account again. I think we're so afraid to repurpose stuff because we're like, everyone has seen it. When in reality, they haven't. And even if they have, sometimes like I'll notice somebody is repurposing something and I'm like, oh God, I totally forgot that. I need to go back and do what they said in there. And
totally.
if you don't want to actually like physically repurpose the same thing, you could just create the same series. You have the ideas, you know what you said, and you could just create it again. Like, don't make this harder on yourself.
Love that.
Because I feel like a series would be such a great way to kind of just jump back in without a lot of pressure.
For sure. Right before I took my break, I had actually just started another series that I was thinking about picking back up, which was Dupe This Wedding, which essentially as a way to
Ooh.
really engage my audience, I had asked them to send me their like one or two of their favorite Pinterest inspiration photos that were like in their wedding Pinterest boards. And then what I did is I would create a reel where I'd recreate that picture, but with affordable items.
Oh
And then
my
I
gosh.
would send them, if they commented a many chat word, then I would send them a list of all the links. Some of them were affiliate links, which is obviously a great way to make a little bit of extra money, but honestly, just
Yeah.
like the best products that I could find for them.
Oh my gosh. Do that.
They loved it. I mean, people were in my DMs constantly like, I love this idea. I can't wait to see my wedding pop up. So I think that would be
Oh.
a fun way to kind of bring that back too.
Oh my gosh, absolutely do that one because that really gets your audience involved as well. We forget that like social media is social. People want to be part of something. And when you take something and make a reel based off of somebody's like wedding or their inspiration, they're going to feel so connected and excited to see their ideal wedding like on your page. Like, I love that idea. I would definitely if you have the capacity to kind of go back to back both, because I was actually talking with a friend a few months ago we did a podcast together, but we also text a lot. And she was saying that she's tried both the series where it's like 12 days in a row or however many days you choose. And then she's done some where it's like a year long series, right? Where she's like, I'm going to, for the whole year, give you 100 swaps on this. And she was saying the year long one does decent, but the in a row does so much better because there's this momentum
Mhm.
building of people like coming back. They're so excited. And I'm going to warn you, it is exhausting. Like I had to
Yeah.
film like 5 to 6 days in a row at a time because I was like, I can't do this every single day. And they are a lot of work, but I feel like they're totally worth it. And like you were saying earlier, they nurture and attract new followers, which I think is pretty rare, right? Like having something that does both really well. It's not always super common. So I love that. I would start with that. Now, what is your first like monetary goal coming back in? Are you aiming for one sale a day or however many daily sales or like what's your goal there?
Yes, daily sales. I'm happy if I can get one sale a day. And actually, since middle of last week, I actually have made one sale a day, which is really exciting.
Woo!
And do you want to know why? Because I've been in my stories.
Gotta love how that works.
Yeah, no, I would be really happy if I can just start to see the consistency of
Yep.
a sale a day. I would be happy with that. That I think will give me the confidence to continue showing
Yep.
up, being more creative in how I'm showing up. And I'll take it from there. I know it's important to make bigger goals, but I feel like I need a little bit of like a baby entry
Yeah.
back into this space. And so I think I'd be really happy with that.
And I think I like making big goals, but I like making like stepping stone
Hmm.
goals too, where you're like, my end goal for the year is this, but like this month with my capacity that I have with what's going on, this is kind of my goal for that. And I think that's great because sometimes we set these like big goals and we're like, oh, I have no plan for how to get there. Whereas like
Totally.
when you're like compounding the goals, like, right, so your first goal is one sale a day. And then maybe you up it to 2 to 3 sales a day, right? And then like from there. So I love that. I think it's totally realistic. And especially coming back from such a hard season, I think it's important not to like jump back in and burn yourself out immediately because we don't want that. Like nobody wants that burnout. I love that. Okay. Anything else you are struggling? This is so fun. I'm like going back into one-on-one coaching mode, which was my favorites. I don't offer them anymore, but I love them. I feel like it's just so fun to dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, it's amazing. I I think I'm struggling. So that helps me in terms of what to do in my stories,
Mm.
and I like the idea of doing the series for reels. I think in terms of my messaging, I am trying to figure out what does that look like? Am I trying to, like, for instance, in my captions, am
Yep.
I leaning towards here's how my digital product can transform the issue that you're struggling with? Or is it more
Mhm.
like, here, get to know me, and generally this is what I can help you with? Or, I'm kind of struggling with like nurture, conversion,
Yep.
growth.
I think you need both. And I think that's what I aim to do with my prompts every week is kind of giving you both instead of just like, oh, we're only going to grow at this time. Because I think this is where people kind of miss the mark. A lot of like Instagram people are like gurus out there that all they teach is Instagram growth. But I'm like, you have to essentially be doing three things at once. You need to be nurturing, you need to be growing, and you need to be selling, right? And so I think for you, knowing that like go into each post, which my prompts inside of Rich Girl Community do this, but if you're doing some on your own too, going into each one, knowing the end goal. So is your goal to get them on your email list with your freebie? Is your goal to connect with them, which I try to do one connection, 1 to 2 a week, right? So depending on how many times you're going to post. And then the third one should be selling. And I think selling should be the heaviest because people need to know your offer exists. And even when you're coming back, like you've already put in the time to nurture and connect with these people. And I'm not saying come back and only sell, but I think you can jump back into connecting with them, letting them know who you are in your content and having a kind of a mix of all three. And I lean heavier on the selling because people need to know your offer exists. And something else that I like to use, like, so inside of the community, there's the prompts, right? And then they have a custom GPT that they can use to help them fill them out, which is like amazing. I'm obsessed with it. But you can also tell it, like, hey, I want this to lean more towards connection, or hey, I want this post to lean more towards selling. I know it's supposed to be connecting, but I want to change it. So if you're like, hey, I've already connected with them a few times this week, I want to sell more, you can tell the GPT, like, hey, let's kind of change that. But what I aim for is, depending on how many times you're going to post per week, is 3 to 4 being sales. And when I say sales, I'm not saying like their reels that I give them, the prompts are not like in your face, I'm selling to you right now, right? Like it's connecting and showing them that like, hey, I can solve your problem. But for you, I would say jump back into doing all three. Like I don't feel like you have to come in and just focus on growth for a while because then I feel like your brain will get stuck in, oh, I'm just growing, I'm just growing. And like you already have so many followers that haven't converted yet. Like, have you made 50,000 sales?
No.
No, like, and you're almost at 50,000 followers, which means
I
like
would love that.
you have all these people that you can sell to, right? And that you
Mhm.
can serve and help them with. So I think when you're jumping back in, just having it be a good mix of all three and not feeling like, oh my God, I only need to connect for the next however many weeks. And I think the series will really help with that because it is so good at both. Like it's so good at connecting, it's so good at nurturing. You can sell in them. I find that they take off a little bit better if it's like links to things that they're asking for in the reel. And then if you get them on an email list to give them those links, then you could sell to them down the line. But when I did my series, the ones that took off the most was like a freebie or something, which obviously like people love free stuff. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Making sure you're like taking advantage of getting them on your email list when you're doing that.
Okay, amazing. And I love the custom GPT in your community. That has been a huge game changer. But this is super helpful because I never even thought I know that it's responsive, but I had never even thought about saying, okay, hey, I actually want this to lean a little bit more like towards connection or
Yep.
towards selling. So that's awesome feedback. And I'll definitely put that into practice. So
Yeah, I love that. I'm like always telling my GPT, like, no, make this more relatable. No, this sounds weird. I would never say that. Like the feedback I give it, I'm like, I would never, like, it always tries to say for me in my stuff when I like test it, because I always test out the prompts with my trained GPT to make sure that it's like I'm wording it correctly.
Mhm.
And it always tries to say you're posting and praying it does well. And I'm like,
Oh,
I would never say that. Stop saying that. And the amount of times I've been like, please, GPT, do not use the phrase posting and praying. Like I wouldn't, that wouldn't come out of my mouth. So I don't want it in my messaging.
that is
But
hysterical.
it's
Wow.
so funny. I find that a lot of the time I have to tell it like use more relatable wording. So if you guys are using GPT, this is so random, but a lot of the time I have to tell it like be more relatable because sometimes it'll like use industry jargon and things like that. And I'm like, no, that is not what we want here.
Totally. I this week I actually said, pretend that I just open up my phone and I'm going to text my friend about something. Like that's the tone I
Ooh,
want. I want it to be like I'm talking to my friend, relatable, casual. But yeah, ChatGPT is awesome. To
I
work with
love
it
that.
and kind of like massage it the way that you
Yeah.
would really speak is really helpful.
Okay. One last thing that I thought of before we go is, you know how Pinterest has like the trending topics?
Hmm.
I would go in because Pinterest is such like a search engine for especially women who are going to be married soon, right? Like I used Pinterest so much when I was planning my wedding. I would go into Pinterest and see what's trending now because I do feel like the trends for weddings are always like a season or two ahead, right?
Yeah.
Like one example I always use is that Target. If you go to Target, you'll see their seasonal section. Like that's when you should be marketing for. So
Hmm.
like right now, last month, Target already had 4th of July. So if you sell something related to 4th of July, this shows you that like you need to be posting about that 2 months before, not the week of. Since you have such a seasonal niche, right? Like weddings are so seasonal, I would go into Pinterest and kind of use that to gauge like how far out you should be talking about certain weddings. Because I feel like right now it's probably summer, but not for much longer. And then it's going to go into fall weddings. So if you're kind of always a little bit ahead so that the people that are actually planning that who want to use you, like they could use your resource. So I would definitely use that tool. I don't know why I thought of that. I love Pinterest for
I
wedding stuff.
love that. I spend a lot of time on Pinterest, and that's such a good way to use it. So I will definitely give that a try because for sure, weddings are, I'm talking to 2026 brides at this point,
Yeah.
really, because the way that I'm trying to create my digital products is like trying to meet them as they move along in their journey. So
Mm,
the first digital product I created is very much like when you first get engaged. And so
got
I'm
it.
not talking to 2025 brides right now. I'm
Yeah.
talking to the women who are women and men who are planning weddings for 2026. So
Yeah.
that's a great way to think about it too, is like finding tools like Pinterest that are also kind of predicting
Mhm.
ahead of time what to be focusing your messaging on. So great
You could
tool.
also say, like, in your content, get specific, like, so you're planning a summer 2026 wedding. That,
Yes.
like, I would get really specific on that too, because
Yes.
weddings are so far ahead. And, like, the sooner you can find them, the sooner you can help them because so many of the decisions are made at the beginning.
Hmm.
And we need to, like, catch them while they're in that moment. So I love that. This is so
Love
fun.
it. This is so fun. I'm like going to run downstairs and start typing up all my notes and plans.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me. And you guys, if you loved this style episode, please let me know. The thing about podcasting is that it's not a social media platform. So I cannot always tell what you love or what you hate. And hopefully you don't hate any of the episodes. But if you love this style of episode, please send me a DM and let me know. And I will make sure to link all of Emily's socials and her digital products just in case you are a 2026 bride and you want help planning it. She is amazing. I love her. I'm like, babe, can we get remarried again just so I can plan something again? Although I'm introverted, I could never handle another wedding. Not my style. But thank you so much for coming. And I will see you guys on next week's episode.